2024 is about to go out, and it's been a year, that's for certain. Some highlights, some lowlights, but regardless, a year. I managed to play some cool games, though, this year, and I figured I'd cap off the year itself by talking about some of those games that I've played but not made a video on. Which is not to say I won't be making vids on these games in the future. Half the list is something I'd love to do a full-fledged video on someday. Honestly, I just want to do an easier end-of-year video so I don't miss making a more holiday-ish video like I did last year. Most of these games will be pretty new, some even being mentioned already on the channel somewhere. But there are a few older games too, so let's get started with some of my favorite games that I played in 2024. Honestly, the highlight of my first Next Fest video, and I did not lie in said video when I said that Galaxy Burger would be a day one buy. I bought it, day one. I love this game. Admittedly, I am a huge fan of these types of simulator games, though. Ever since I played that one Flash game, Flipper Flop, the SpongeBob one, where you made Krabby Patties. Galaxy Burger hands you the reins of an intergalactic burger shack, and yeah, that's about the long of it. You'll get orders asking for specific burgers, have pre-built recipes that they're ready to be ordered, alongside fried foods of all varieties on the side, and drinks that you have to manage too. All of your customers are cool aliens of many different varieties, from cats in mech suits to normal humans to robots and all this other fun stuff. You also get an absurd amount of ingredients for your burgers too. Sides and drinks, as mentioned as well, and you just keep getting more and more as you travel throughout the solar system and beyond. Galaxy Burger is a treat to look at too, just being an incredibly colorful and fun looking game. Unironically, I think this might be my game of the year for 2024. It's the one I enjoyed the most, and will also continue enjoying since it's been getting updates pretty consistently. So I'm looking forward to more Borgar game in the future and to see where it goes. As a fan of VTubers and of HoloLive as well, of course, the one thing that I find most impressive about the HoloLive fanbase is that they managed to put out insanely high-quality games. HoloX Break is one of those games, a game that's fully in my wheelhouse since it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. In HoloX Break, Secret Society HoloX has kidnapped the CEO of Covercore, Yaku, and are currently putting in motion their dastardly plans to take over the world. So it's up to you to stop them, of course. You select from one of HoloLive's 5th generation of live talents, those being Yukihani Lame, Momosuzu Nene, Shishiro Botan, and Omaru Polka. God, I hope I pronounced those correct. You select one of these 4 and head out to stop the Secret Society's nefarious machinations for the world. Each of the girls has their own basic attacks, stats, and moves they can use too. You level up in this game as you defeat enemies, which improves all your stats, of course, alongside unlocking your more devastating attacks. You can also pick up a massive variety of different items to use. Some heal you, some buff you, and some you can just use to attack your foes. Coolly, you can actually rescue allies who, 1, are the fan mascots of each of your respective playable characters, and 2, will fall in right behind you to fight the minions of HoloX. Each of these minions also has their own unique moveset too. This is a fun game on its own, but it is something that is even better if you're a HoloLive fan, obviously. All the levels are just absolutely packed with HoloLive lore alongside cameos from basically every talent that was active when the game was released. Every item is a reference to some HoloLive deep lore as well, and there's also an assload of stickers that you can unlock that are available from the in-game gacha system that are also references to a lot of the talent's stream and various lore bits. You get to spam these in multiplayer for fun for reference, so they do have somewhat of a purpose. This is honestly an incredible game, even more so because it's just free. They're just handing it out. Give it a shot if you like beat 'em ups, even if you aren't the biggest VTuber fan. As a lover of stuff like Power Wash Simulator and Viscera Cleanup Detail, Crime Scene Cleaner obviously appealed to me, so I picked it up. What I'll say sets this one apart is it has more of a direct narrative for its story. Yeah, I know that Power Wash and Viscera do have a story of some variety, but they're more told through those texts that you can get, and it's kind of subtle. Not to mention that you're just a faceless goon in those games. Crime Scene Cleaner drops you into the boots of Kowalski, a humble school janitor with an incredibly sick daughter. Said illness is burying our poor protagonist in deep, deep debt, so he ends up taking on work for the local mob boss, Big Jim, alongside a few other unsavory characters too, but you're mostly going to be working for Big Jim in order to cover up all of his crimes. Each level you'll roll up to a given crime scene, be given some brief exposition as to what happened there, and then it's time to start the deep cleaning. You'll be tasked with cleaning up all the bloodstains, picking up all the incriminating evidence, and all that garbage that's just strewn about the area too. You'll also plunder the riches of these areas for some supplemental income, alongside what you earn from finishing the mission successfully too. Your total money earned, well, obviously obviously story-wise it goes towards your daughter, but it's also your experience gain, basically. Earn enough and you get skill points. Yeah, you actually have a whole skill tree in this game. You spend your points on upgrades for your mops, sponges, a power washer, garbage bags, and a few other nice things too that are just very helpful and make your missions easier to clean through. I won't lie though, I do find the prospect of being able to tell someone in a casual conversation you're having about games, you're like, yeah, I played Crime Scene Cleaner and I went for a power washer sponge akimbo build, you know? It's absolutely hilarious. Your main character also has a very dry sense of humor, one that's sprinkled with the occasional meme. Not enough to be obnoxious like some other games do, however. They do sprinkle in some of the meme jokes into the levels as well, but they do try to keep it fairly subtle. Unless you're scouring through all the levels, which, I mean, I guess you should, so maybe you will see all of them. You probably won't even see a lot of them if you don't do that. My only grievance with this one is that it isn't longer. 10 missions total, I'd say about 12 hours or so to play through them all. God, I want more of this game. I 100%ed this one for God's sake, and I almost never do that with games. Play this one if you're craving a cleanup game, obviously. I will vouch for it 100%. Another highlight of that first Next Fest video, Iron Meat is an absolute gem of a video game. Basically, imagine if Contra, instead of fighting an evil empire, you are instead fighting necromorphs. You fight a desperate struggle against the evil Moon Man and his bioorganic aberrations that can assimilate basically any organic or non-organic tissue. Thankfully, though, you have a huge arsenal weapon to battle these freaks, so find your favorite and start slaughtering these invading monsters. Iron Meat at a base is an amazing looking game, with each monster, from these gigantic monstrous bosses down to the lowliest evil slug, all look great. They also all satisfyingly explode into glorious geysers of gore on death. It is also an insanely challenging game as well, but in a good way. It's actually very fun to play this one. There's no cheap deaths, at least none that I've found, just a lot of skill-related ones that I know I could improve on in a second run. Another great thing about Iron Meat is that you have a ton of skins you can unlock for using in-game, but even better, all of these parts for these skins are totally mix and matchable, so you can create your own cool hero guy. A cool hero guy you can play in couch co-op with a friend, since this game does feature that. Best part of Iron Meat by far, though, is its absolutely rockin' soundtrack. Nothing but hard metal to accompany you carving your way through all these monsters. Absolutely pick up Iron Meat if you're looking for a fast-paced run-and-gun game with an excellent OST, or if you're a big fan of Contra. Don't adjust your set, dear viewers. This is a game from 1993 after all those modern ones. Shining Force is a tactical RPG developed and published by Sega for its Genesis console. Master System, if you're not familiar with Freedom. It was basically Sega's answer to Nintendo's Fire Emblem, and it rocks. Its story is a pretty simple one. Evil has emerged. You put together a goon squad of badass warriors to go stop it. Your fellow warriors can be found scattered all throughout the game's worlds, and will happily join you on your quest to destroy these monsters and their evil emperor. What I love most about Shining Force is just how fantastic and diverse your party members are. Yeah, your character is a human, you have some fairly typical dwarves and elves fighting alongside you, but your knight class soldiers, for instance, are centaurs donning European plate armor. You can also pick up a werewolf lord, some furries, a literal dragon man, and even an armadillo and a steam-powered mech suit. Also, big fan of the samurai and ninja that show up come late game and are just brick shit houses who can slaughter insanely powerful enemies with no effort. Every character, barring the few you find really late in the game, can also prestige into an even more powerful class than their basic form. Ones that can wield even more powerful weapons to slay evil with. They also get totally new attack animations for these upgrades, and a model on the battle map changes too. It's really nice. I'll also say big fan of the attacks playing out in this cool over-the-shoulder perspective. For a Genesis game, I was entirely blown away by the aesthetics in this one. This has to be some of the best art direction on the console. Gameplay-wise, the combat is pretty nice too, except for all the movement slowing terrain on certain maps. Getting bogged down in the sand kinda stinks, won't lie. Another fairly annoying thing, though, is that the enemy AI is insanely aggressive, specifically when it comes to your character. Expose yourself for a moment and every nearby enemy will instantly try to surround you. I don't like this, but at the same time, it's actually really easy to game, or even better, peel away enemy attention from your more vulnerable squad mates with your own character. This one was so fantastic, man. Retro games are so good, and I definitely need to play more of them for the channel. This one will definitely get a video in the future for reference. Probably its sequel too. It's just how much fun I was having. Yeah, another Hololive fan game makes this list. HoloCure, Save the Fans, is a game that I've been playing on and off for over a year now, I think, but this year the devs actually dropped a massive update for the game. An update that included all new idols to play as, a full-on casino to gamble in, and a Jump King minigame to play too. I want to let you know that these major features came in while the game already featured a fully fledged home builder, fishing minigame, and obviously the main course in the Vampire Survivor-like main game. This game is absolutely stuffed to the rafters with content now, not like it was lacking before or anything, but I got a bit ahead of myself here. HoloCure Save the Fans is a Vampire Survivor-like game, one that features a huge cast of Hololive idols to play as and an absolutely massive amount of items and weapons to use. Each character obviously has their own basic attack alongside a super move to use. Alongside your simple attacks when you level up from killing foes, you gain access to all manner of equipment and weapons to slap onto your character. You also have access to a skill set specific to your character to upgrade and use as well. Do these things to survive the increasingly powerful and numerous waves of enemies, in this case the fan bases of Hololive's various talents that are attempting to kill you now. Fight the final boss after 20 minutes of survival, and you'll win the level. Upon winning the level, spend the money you've earned to upgrade your various stats and use your smacked up idols to challenge the harder levels of the game. I gotta be honest, I've never actually played Vampire Survivors, and this game is the first ever exposure to the genre that I got, and I won't lie, it's fucking fantastic. I will also let you know, viewer, that this game is fucking free. You can just download it and own it forever too. Play it when you want. It blows my mind that such a high quality game is free. Not to mention it's still gonna get updates as time grinds on. The devs are intent on adding every Hololive talent after all. That's well over 100 different talents and this game already has so many. Obviously you'll enjoy this game more if you're a fan of Hololive, the characters being from the company and all the items being references to Hololive deep lore of various kinds. But regardless, you'll be able to enjoy this game if you just like Vampire Survivors, or building a house, or fishing, or Jump King, or gambling, or playing rock, paper, scissors. It's just that good. I had to put this one on here since, well, it's the fighting game thing that I've played the most this year. If you missed it, Capcom dropped a fat collection of games that included every Marvel game they've ever developed up to a certain point. From Children of the Atom all the way to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, on top of the game that kind of started it all with their partnership with the Punisher. All these amazing games slapped together and given some nice creamy rollback netcode so you can actually enjoy them online. I won't spend too long on this one, to be honest. It's a collection of some of the greatest fighting games of all time and an absolutely top tier beat 'em up rolled into one package with great online play. Alongside that, you get a bunch of fun little extras to look at, like concept art. It's always fun to see what devs were cooking back in the day, I'm not gonna lie, so I always praise this sort of thing being included in the game. Please buy this collection so we can hopefully show Capcom that we want Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Please. So I had to play at least one major title this year, at least, right? Well, Marvel Rivals is it for me. If you're not in the know, Marvel Rivals is a third-person hero shooter featuring heroes and villains from all across the Marvel Comics universe. In Rivals, teams of 6 do battle in your fairly typical hero shooter type scenarios, like pushing the payload or dominating a specific area of the map for X amount of time. Simple stuff like that, though the game does offer a team deathmatch style mode where killing each other is the objective. This game is so much fun, right off the bat. I will say, though, I haven't played every character in the game, but everyone I've touched so far has been an absolute blast. Punisher, Captain America, Star-Lord, Adam Warlock, Moon Knight, we're all just so much fun. I didn't think a hero shooter could be this much fun, honestly. No doubt in my mind that everyone else is just as enjoyable as these few that I've played so far. Keep on with the positives. The design for the heroes in this game are fantastic. Some of the best I've seen in a while. This Psylocke one? Fucks. Moon Knight? Fucks. They made bangers for basically everyone, though. I'm also genuinely astounded at how technically proficient this game is, too. Like, I didn't hear about any server issues when the game launched, and it had, like, over 500,000 people playing on release. The environments being destructible is really impressive, too, and Doctor Strange has a totally seamless portal that he can use in this game. One that you can fire into and kill members of the enemy team. I'm honestly kind of blown away by just that. I will say it's not perfect by any stretch. It has balance issues like any competitive game, of course. Some abilities are just way too strong for my liking. Like, Jeff's ult is just stupid. A 6-second long suppress that does damage over time, can hold the entire enemy team no problems, has an absolutely insane vertical hitbox for some reason, and he can freely move as fast as he typically does, on top of being able to spit out the enemy team wherever he pleases. You know the longest stun in Dota 2 is 5 seconds? And that's Dota 2 for reference. Jeff's ult is ridiculous and needs to be toned back quite a lot. Also, I feel like a lot of attacks, particularly ones from Vanguard, seem to lack a good bit of impact. Like, if I charging star someone with Captain America, it just kind of feels lame. I need some oomph, you dig? Also, apparently, if your hero has this little symbol next to them, they just get a 15% damage boost. That needs to fucking go. Just give everyone that for the hell of it. I think the meta for this one might be kind of interesting, especially since the devs have talked about not implementing a role queue, which I think is a good idea. I'm not a hero shooter expert by any stretch, but I feel like tanks aren't particularly impactful in this game. 2 supports, 4 DPS feels like a good way to go, or maybe 3-3 no tanks. But I've also seen some people talking about 3 tanks, 3 healers, so who the fuck knows anymore. Regardless of my complaints though, I think this is a super fun game. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one pans out, if it's got some good legs under it or not. I mean, we'll just have to see as time goes on. Another sick game from that first Next Fest video I did. I Am Your Beast is an insanely fast-paced boomer shooter centered around basically being a giant speedrun challenge. You get dropped into a mission, given the objective, and you just fucking go. Enemies will try to stop you, but you can almost effortlessly carve through them with your bare hands, knives, and guns too. What I like the most about I Am Your Beast is just how no bullshit it is. Level, objective, go. Nothing but high-octane, dick in your hand, shitting on the floor, taint blasting, JD Power and Associates, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck gets hit with the door routine type action. It's amazing. There's a story to this game, a fairly light one, but one that's still presented very well in game, with nothing more than simple text and good voice acting to deliver it. I had so much fun playing this one. I love being able to huck my weapon at foes for a good kill or a knockdown. The running felt so free, and it combined flawlessly with the parkouring and sliding under terrain too. It's all so seamless. Definitely play this one if you like shooters at all. It's great. But that's gonna wrap up this little video. I could probably keep going, but much like any video, it's gotta stop eventually. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year's as well, since this will probably be the last video I release this year. Sorry for copping out with a game recap instead of an actual Christmassy review. I didn't want to fail to make it again this year. As always though, my name is HadesManticore and this here channel is CityStateManticore. Thanks a ton for watching. If you did, be sure to drop a fat like and tell me about whatever fun games you played this year. Be sure to subscribe because as always, there's more content to come next year. See y'all then. Goodbye.